Hello and welcome everybody to another video. So for this week, I'm deciding to continue my Newcrest series where I'm rebuilding Bob's Burgers in The Sims. And today I'm building Wands. And if you don't remember what that is in Bob's Burgers, that's okay because I had to look it up. And it's just a joke store that's in the series. It's only in 2 episodes. It's in the one with where Tina tries to win the magic competition with Jimmy Jr. so they get like a $50 gift card to the magic store. And then another one is where Rudy is at dinner with his parents and he goes to the joke store as like his dad gives him gifts to like make him feel better about the divorce type of thing. So it's one of those situations. But I decided to build it because I felt like it would make a really good actual magic store in The Sims. So we're gonna jump right into the build and I'll show you what I did. So we started on the 30 by 30 lot, the same one that I used in my last video that I did. And that's just literally because I like this lot. I'm thinking about making this whole area right here kind of like retail, residential, not residential, but retail and Wonder Wharf stuff over here. Maybe even Gail's apartment. Maybe. I'm not sure where to put her apartment yet, but it's on my list of things to build. So here we have the like an actual magic store. Now we don't see a lot of wands inside of Bob's Burgers. So I had to just kind of use some creative freedoms here, but it's also like we don't have townhouse lots where they're directly next to each other, so I could build multiple next to unless you're using for rent, and even then you could still do the multiple, but it's kind of glitchy. So I feel like putting no residential on this, especially with every other video in this series having a residential on top, I felt like is a nice change. So there is everything magical to do with this. I even put the little tree from the base game, the little magic tree. If you've never played with it, it's from the Magic Beans. It's actually really fun. It's pretty cool. It's a little, I mean, it's a little rabbit hole, but it's still cute. It's a pretty tree too. So I like to put these little chimneys on my build sometimes. I don't do it all the time, but when I can, I try to. And I felt like for this, the magic area, like it's going to have a lot of wands, brooms, potions, everything like that is going to be included in it. So I felt like it needed to look like a cottage, but I also wanted to keep the feel of like the brick because everything in Wonder Wharf, I'm just calling the whole world Wonder Wharf. Everything in Bob's Burgers is like kind of brick themed or like wooden, and I couldn't find a good wooden like theme that I wanted for this, so I just kind of scrapped that idea. Now these windows, I like these little windows that you can kind of piece together. I didn't even realize that this was in the Magic Pack, and the Magic Pack is one of the first ones I ever like owned. And I don't know how I missed these windows that you could just piece them together. Like I have literally no idea. I think they're really cool, and I wonder how many more windows are like that in The Sims that I just haven't noticed. So I don't know, but I didn't want to make this huge because wands, when I looked up some pictures of it, was not massive, okay? Was not absolutely huge. So I wanted a little house, and I couldn't find a lot that like I felt like made it work the best. So I just kind of, did it on the same 30 by 30. I really like this little 30 by 30 lot in Newcrest. I have literally no idea why, but I do love it. This is our little counter that we're gonna put in. So this is like the cash register. This is labeled as a retail center, I believe. So in order to download this and use it as one, you would need Get to Work. Get to Work in the Magic Realm. Those were the two that I used in this, and 99% of it is Magic Realm. I think the only thing I used from Get to Work was the cash register. Everything else is from the Magic Realm game pack. So as long as you have that and you just want to like run it as like a generic store, I mean you don't even have to run it as a store. You could put a bed in here and have your sim live here if you really wanted to. It has pretty much everything you would need except for like a kitchen and a bed. There is a bathroom. That's what that little corner is over there. And like I said, I wanted to put a fireplace in here, especially because Magic Realm came with one, and I felt like I just had to for the Magic store, where it's like my idea was a one-stop shop for everything Magic, which means that there is an entire garden in this build as well. That actually has plants. I don't know if I showed myself doing it. I don't think I did because it's monotonous. But if you were to go and get this and download it, the entire thing is filled with stuff. Like it's like actual plants, like the plants that you would need. I looked up the potions to see like what you would need for certain potions, and I put everything that I could in the planter that I could see. Some stuff you have to get like gems and everything like that in order to make some of the potions, but it's whatever. This is our little wand counter. Okay, I've been waiting for us to get over to this. This is our little wand counter. It took me 5 ever to place all these wands on there because they wouldn't snap onto the shelving, which is very frustrating, but it's fine. And also one of the wands, I don't know why, but when I went in to like deal with the plants, one of the wands disappeared off of the shelf, and no matter what I do, it won't like stay. It just disappears from the build entirely. I don't know what that's about. And maybe that's like a limitation because they're considered like debug. Like I'm using debug here technically for some of this stuff. I'm not really sure why that happened. I tried to fix it, but I don't know what was going on with it. Those are all the familiars that they're just on a little shelf next to the wands. I felt like that was like the most appropriate. And I initially really wanted to do like a little counter of potions, like a little potion brewing counter with the cauldron behind it. But this build isn't big enough to really do that, and I didn't want to mess with everything I had already placed. So I decided to move on from the cauldron idea and go over here to the brooms. So this is just another counter that you would come to if you were a student to like buy the brooms. You know what I mean? And there's a bunch of different color options. I never use brooms when I play with the Magic Realm. I just have them like transportalate, which is the spell they use everywhere when I can, especially if it's a long distance. So I don't really know what the broom gameplay like kind of looks like. Sound off down below if you've played with brooms or if you have your Sims play with them, because I don't think I've really ever seen a lot of gameplay with it other than like the random townies that use it, you know? Uh, but I put a rug in here, like up towards the front, like the main cash register, and then I believe I ended up putting a cauldron there. Now, I was gonna turn this corner into the bathroom, but I decided to build this as like the book section of like where you would buy your tomes and everything if you were going to school. I'm reading Harry Potter, so like some of this is inspired by that too. It's my little mashup, I guess. But I'm reading Harry Potter right now, and I was like, there's a bookstore, and I felt like that needed to be added in here, especially because I didn't know what else to put in here. Like, the Magic Realm is only a game pack. It's not an expansion, so it doesn't have as much as an expansion would. But I still wanted to fill out as much as I could with just that one pack. These are all, I believe those are mandrakes. Mandrakes or Valerian root. Both of those little podiums are covered in either mandrakes or Valerian root. They're one of each on there because those are the only magical plants that you have to get from the magical seed packet. And I felt like it would just be easier at the time when I was making this to like do it that way. Now, the potion wall. I have to tell you guys about the potion wall. I love the potion wall, especially like when it works. I have absolutely zero idea, but I have done this twice now. And every time I do it, the potion wall, when your Sims show up to it, are gone except for a couple potions. The Sim I'm doing this with is not a spellcaster because it's just the Sim I have in the saves to like build things. And I don't know what's going on with the potion wall, but all the potions except for a couple of them disappear each time. I don't know why. I think it's a bug, but I've tried a bunch of different things and I couldn't get it to kind of work. So I don't know, but it's there. It looks pretty. It's cute. I came back to this fireplace. Like I know it looks like we're kind of done on the inside, but there is a little bit more. I just didn't know what to add, so I moved on to the outside because it was starting to bother me. Now the outside, I struggle with outside decoration, and I think that we have seen that in a couple of videos. This one though, I tried a little bit harder, but using just the magic realm, I don't like those two trees. Like I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not the biggest fan of putting those two trees together, but I didn't really have another tree option that I liked. So or that I had seen. So I was like, whatever. This is the garden. I needed to fill this lot out, and I know that this is not in Bob's Burgers at all, but we're in The Sims, so we have to take some Sims creative freedom, and I did so here. Because I could have just left it as the box and been like, this is the magic store. Because in reality, the magic store is pretty tiny inside of Bob's Burgers. So this had some creative freedom. I'm not gonna lie. I had some creative freedom here to do all of this. Now I got some comments that said that I should use a little bit less, like make the terrain paint less hard. And I think this is what you guys were talking about. Let me know. Please let me know. I'm trying to learn terrain paint. It's really difficult for me. I don't know why, but I really struggle with it. So I tried to leave it like relatively untouched. Not relatively untouched, but I try not to go too hard in the paint because sometimes my too much gene will kick in and I'll just like put all of the terrain paint, which I did in that last video on the backyard stuff. And I realize it now looking back at it and after someone had like mentioned it to me, and I want to get better at terrain paint. So please, if you have terrain paint tips, drop them down below. I need them. I need help. I'm bad at terrain paint, but I think the terrain paint in this build looks good. I'm not the happiest with it, but it's satisfactory to me. I'll put it that way. It's a satisfactory enough amount of terrain paint that I felt happy with it. Like I said, didn't know how to fill out the rest of this, and I wish I would have used those vines because I couldn't find them again. I don't know where they were, and I think they're a debug item. But I should have put those vines all over behind the cottage here, and I think that would have looked better. And I could have put terrain paint there to help like blend it. And I'm a little bit upset I didn't do it, but it's whatever. I put some telescopes in the backyard as like a, if you're going here to buy stuff, let's put some activities there. There is a cauldron on the inside. I don't know if I've shown that in the video yet, but like there is a cauldron. Piecing those little mushrooms here, I actually really like those mushrooms, but piecing them together was kind of odd. And then I put some terrain paint under them because I feel like mushrooms oftentimes will grow in dirt, like not with any grass around it. I know that there are mushrooms that do, and like there's a lot of mushrooms that do, but I felt like it was most appropriate here since the mushrooms are so big. This is kind of the final of our build. We're coming to an end here, and the last thing I could really think that I wanted to add in this build was a ceiling over the plants, because if you don't, they won't consider it as sheltered, and then they'll die. And I didn't want them to because I want it to look good when you download it, no matter the season, if you even have seasons. But if you have seasons, I just wanted to avoid all of that entirely. So I filled out the planter boxes, and I do show it in the slowdown, but in this you can't really see it. I came back to the fireplace. We added some of the regular reading books from the Magic Realm pack. So that was kind of like a fun little addition on top. I was trying to find like an indoor plant or something, and I really couldn't. So here's the slowed down. We're going to start with the outside. And as you can see, it's not big. It's really kind of small. I'm not the biggest fan that it's just a giant box, and I tried to add some accents, but I'm still getting better at that. We have a cow plant, you have valerian root, you have mandrake, you've got apple trees and citrus trees and a forbidden fruit tree, and like what else is in that garden? I looked at the potion list and I put everything that I could. Even there's even roses there. And then I grew them up to be, like ready to bloom. So you don't have to wait, especially if you don't play with cheats. That can be annoying to wait. So there's a cow plant. There's everything to make almost all the potions there. I think the only thing I didn't add was a cherry tree. This is our little tome area where you can buy some ingredients as well as like all your reading books that you would need, your brooms. We have wands over there on the left with the familiars, the entire potion wall. We have a cauldron in the middle, so if you wanted to go out back and pick stuff, and then come in and make a potion, you absolutely could. This also works for if you wanted to play with it as an actual retail store. I don't think you really need to. I've done it as a bakery before, and you don't have to remake them. This is that little bathroom. You just like restock it. But this is the little bathroom. There's nothing exciting in the bathroom. It's actually really small. It's meant for literally just to go to the bathroom. You can also take a potion of plentiful needs because there's 2 apple trees outside and just make a potion of plentiful needs, and then you don't even need the bathroom. So that's the build. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next video. All right, bye everybody.